Good evening, everyone. If you'll stand with me and render the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag, followed by our invocation. Attention, salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you bow with me, please? Our dear gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you as your humble and obedient servants. We ask that you'll be with us today as we conduct the business of the city that affects all the citizens of the city. In Jesus' name, amen. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Striplin. Here. Counselor Wood. Here. Counselor Brown. Here. Counselor Miller. Here. Counselor Reniger.
Here.
Counselor Bowles. Here. Counselor Fank.
Call this meeting officially to order at 6:01 p.m. Councilman Fank was unable to be with us here tonight. He was called away for a meeting out of town at 4:30. He said that he would get back as quickly as he could and join us if he can. The character trait of this month is compassion, investing whatever is necessary to heal the hurts of others. Fellow councilors, by now you have received a copy of the minutes from the City Council meeting of February the 21st, 2012. At this time, are there any amendments that need to be made to the minutes? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Bowes. Is there a second? I saw a hand, Councilor Striplin. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by raising your right hand. All opposition by like sign. Seeing none, those minutes are approved. This time, the City Council will entertain comments from persons present on anything pertaining to tonight's agenda. Does anyone here present would like to address the council on any item on the agenda this evening? Yes, sir. Please come forward and give us your name and your address and state your business, please, sir.
My name is Matt Holster, 246 Wetumpka Street, and I would like to address resolutions 4 and 5. I believe they're tied together.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I'm a registered forester. I'm a licensed pesticide applicator, commercial herbicide license, all that. And I was just concerned, or just wanted to know if you were aware of all the other costs associated with spraying herbicides yourself. And those would include the cost of the chemicals and the wear and tear on the equipment from the corrosive action of those chemicals. I was unaware of where exactly you're talking about spraying, if it's just city road right-of-ways or if it's water drainage right-of-ways. And if you were just aware of the different chemicals required for those activities. I saw in your budget you have about $14,000+ for herbicides and insecticides. I guess that counts for the little truck that sprays in the summer also. But I spray a lot, and we use $14,000 of herbicides, in about 2 weeks. So I just was hoping that you would research that, and that Roundup is, if you buy it in bulk, a couple 100 gallons at a time, you get it at $20 a gallon. If you buy it in small amounts, it's $80 a gallon. If you want stuff that'll kill kudzu, it's $500, $600 a gallon. And things like that add up very quickly. And one of the most corrosive chemicals that we do apply is glyphosate, which is Roundup. And it's granular, mixed in a liquid, and it really wears out pumps parts. And we replace all our pumps once a year. So you may be saving money initially buying the equipment, but your wear and tear may eat your lunch after a while. I was just hoping that you had thought of all that, and if not, I'd be more than happy to share some numbers or let you look at our want the contract or anything. I just wanted to help make it prepared.
We appreciate you coming and bringing that up to us. We have done a lot of research, and we have considered all of your concerns, and we're prepared to address that. As a matter of fact, Mr. Johnson has given us a complete report with his recommendations that you don't see here in the agenda, but it was provided to the council before we agreed to sponsor these resolutions. But points well taken, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. Does anyone else would like to address an agenda item tonight? Dr. Simmons.
Yes, thank you.
Sit down.
Hello? Guess it doesn't work. I'll talk loud. Maybe this will pick it up. Thank you. I'll just talk loud. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to touch base on items 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your agenda. I had some concerns about the proposal with the medical director, because I understand now that we're thinking of hiring this person as a part-time employee rather than an independent contractor. And having done consulting business in the medical field, usually you have a set of insurances when I'm hired by clients to do various reviews and testify and that sort of thing. So if insurance is the issue, I guess I'm puzzled why Dr. M wouldn't have all those insurances. The other thing I'm concerned about is, in addition to payroll costs, there'll be insurance costs that are extra. But I'm worried about exposure, because now this person would be a city employee and things can get awful fuzzy. If he works at the ER and we transport a patient from our EMT down to the hospital, I worry about the fuzziness of, wait a minute, was he acting as an employee of the ER services? Was he also an employee of the City of Prattville? And you know how attorneys can get, you can ask Mr. McDowell, they'll name everybody from here to the sky. So I just had some concerns. I'm not saying that that's either the right or wrong, but just some concerns having been a consultant. The items number 2, 3, and 4, if I hadn't been to your finance meeting, and the public probably doesn't understand what you're trying to do with the urban management, and I think it's a great idea. I think that by doing it in-house and not hiring someone, we can do it for less money. We can do it with more we can do it with more accountability and obviously better control. So I'm all for it. My concern is that Mr. Johnson was saying, you know, we have 27 positions, only 15 of those are filled, and I really need 34 employees. So my concern would be with doing the vegetation in-house, in addition to the cost, which of course we would be saving net, I'm concerned about what things wouldn't we be able to do, because right now we don't have the money to give him all the employees that he would want. So I'd be concerned about what things might fall through the crack while we do this vegetation management. But I'm all for that. But the other point that I wanted to bring out was that if you look at your budget for that, you've got 3 resolutions that are going to approve a Bobcat utility for $10,780, item number 2. Item number 3 is a lawnmower for $11,609. And then item number 4 is the flatbed truck for $15,000. And the problem is, when you went through the budget, I don't know if you remember all the cuts that were made, so the budget got cut, capital outlay got cut to $12,000. So the $20,000 that was in there for the truck got zeroed out. So basically you've got 3 resolutions for $37,389, and you've got $12,000 in capital outlay. So what I would recommend that you do tonight is go ahead and vote to amend the budget and move some of the money, the $69,500 that's in urban forestry, move it to capital outlay, so that when you do the resolutions, you'll have the funds in the capital outlay account. Because what happened is the capital urban forestry account was originally, when you were thinking of hiring a company to do that. So I just wanted to point that out. And then the last thing was item number 6 was the Glenbrook subdivision. And I understand that the developer is going to pay for all the costs of the sewer, even though they're not in the city limits. My only concern there is that I'm assuming the city is going to have to maintain those sewers after they pay to install them. And so I wanted to make sure that the enterprise fund, that we collect the revenues from that subdivision, because there's no guarantee that they're ever going to get annexed, 100% guaranteed. So since they're outside the city limits, I would want to see some assurance that the funds that are developed or reaped from the enterprise fund would not only cover the sewer maintenance long term, not just the developer paying for the sewers itself. So that's basically all I have. I know I covered a bunch, but.
Thank you, Dr. Simmons. If there's any questions of Dr. Simmons, well, we've got him here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else have any comments or questions pertaining to the agenda tonight? Okay, I have a question myself of our attorney. Dr. Simmons brought out a very good point. From a legal standpoint, do we need to make a change in the approved budget, moving that money from the contract amount of $70,000 over to capital expenditures? Mr. McDowell.
As far as it being a legal expenditure, I don't think you have to move it. It doesn't matter where the money's coming from, if you want to take it from general fund or not, so long as the money's there. Mm-hmm. It may be a good accounting practice to do that, but I think from a legal expenditure, I don't really care where the money's coming from. Did that answer your question, I hope? Or
yes, it does.
I mean,
Mr. Mose, let me ask you a question about the accounting of these monies while we're on the subject. Is it going to be a cleaner process from an accounting standpoint for us to reallocate these funds into capital budget items as opposed to pulling it from what we had originally budgeted as a contract service?
Whether or not we expense those into the capital outlay through the audit process, they'll get put there anyway.
Okay.
So they're going to need to go. It'd be best to go ahead and just put them in the capital outlay line item. The resolutions 2, 3, and 4. Resolution number 5, that's not going to be over $5,000, so it would not be considered capital outlay. We could leave that in the urban management or urban forestry line item. The equipment in resolution number 5, there's a lot of different pieces to that. It's not just one piece of equipment that's $9,900. So that one piece would not represent capital outlay.
Okay.
I believe number 4 is, number 3 is already capital outlay.
That is correct.
Okay, 3 is capital outlay.
It's already budgeted, the zero term.
So we're talking 2 and 4.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Councilor Wood.
according to my reading, all of the ones that he spoke about up on the capital outlay already, 2, 3, and 4. Unless someone has a different packet from me.
Yes, they're written to come out of capital outlay, be charged to the capital outlay. But it's not budgeted in capital outlay.
I think the question is, do we need to reallocate it in our budget before we pass these resolutions to spend it?
I think we could add it to those resolutions that those funds be moved from the urban forestry line item to the capital outlay line.
Just amend each item to read that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's what I really would need to know right there. Okay. Well, the counselors understand what we need to do on those individual items when they come up. Okay. Does anyone else want to address the council on any agenda item? Okay, we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mayor, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yes, sir, I do. And if you will, please grant me a special request again. We actually have a special guest here tonight, and it's Lieutenant Christy, and she actually has a presentation for us tonight. And then I actually have one for her before I go into my meeting, So,
Mayor Gillespie, I would like you to accept this on behalf of the men and women serving in Afghanistan when I was there. A flag that was flown for the city of Prattville, Alabama, the preferred.
well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, and I'll make certain that we have it displayed proudly, and I cannot tell you how much that really means to me. And also, I have a commendation here for you. Whereas our nation has fought and continues to fight battles around the world, let us solemnly remember the sacrifices of all those who have fought on the seas, in the air, and on the foreign shores to preserve our heritage of freedom. Let us consecrate ourselves to the task of promoting and enduring peace, so their efforts shall not be in vain. Whereas we have benefited from the contribution of those willing to depart the comforts of home to answer the call of duty, and our citizens celebrate the service and sacrifices of these servicemen and women as we pay special tribute to these citizens. Whereas the freedoms we enjoy as Americans have been purchased and maintained at a high price throughout our history, whereas we owe a great debt of gratitude to those who have served in defense of this nation. Whereas the people and the mayor of Prattville wish that the sacrifice so many in Afghanistan never be forgotten. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby commend Lieutenant Darlene Christy for her sacrifice in the Middle East to include a deployment to Afghanistan, working in the United States Aeromedical Evacuation Division, ensuring that wounded personnel were transported to higher levels of care. Darlene is a living testimony to remind us of what is important and what it means to be a hero. Thank you. Thank you for that. I mean, it's whenever she came forward and informed me that this flag had been flying over Afghanistan, and she had done it especially for the city of Prattville, it meant so much. So I will make certain we get this mounted and displayed so it can be viewed by all of our citizens. Going on to my report, should be a short one tonight. I'll really have a few little items to talk about. One is a street project that we've had over in Court Street. It's moving along right as good as it can be. Had a couple of delays because of the weather, but all in all, it should be done on time or ahead of schedule. The citizens in that area, especially one that I can think of, is she says she's been dealing with this for quite some time, and she's very, very pleased with what's going on. And she mentioned something about somebody buying her a lobster dinner, so I'll have to let you talk with her about that, Councilor Woods, but since it's your district anyway. But we did have a recycling committee meeting. Our next one is March the 19th. I hope that anybody interested on the council is able to show up, but if you are interested, please let me know so we can accommodate you on that one. If everybody remembers correctly, we had a assessment being done on our IT department. We should have a report on that brought before this council, hopefully by the next council meeting or no later than the first meeting in April. Our sales tax report for our January sales, month of February, has been sent out to the council. I hope everybody has received that. We'll be having that put on the city website for our citizens can read those numbers. These numbers that will be put out there in closing, it shows that the 1 cent sales tax has generated a total of $4,241,000. That means we have paid the city's debt down $10,693, or 16.4%, leaving our long-term debt is $54,487,000 and some change. But anyway, any further information that's been sent out to you guys will also be available on the city website. In the very near future, and I know that some of our councilors have already bought some of the tickets for our Arts Festival. I hope that all the council can show up for that event. The dinner is March the 22nd. The tickets you can get through Kelly Cook and her department. The festival, we also have a festival on the 24th at Pratt Park. This has always been a big draw for the city of Prattville. I hope everybody will be able to attend for that. I know I'll be there. We also have another special event going on at the same day. It's in our North Highland, and I'm going to let Councilor Wood talk about that a little bit later on if he so desires. But as everybody has probably noticed, we have a lot of the green stuff popping up all over the place, and I wish I was talking about money, but it's the grass that with all the rain that we've had, we will be trying to play catch up and keep up with that. And so that's one of the reasons why we do need some of the resolutions passed here so we can keep up throughout the whole city on that. Along with the grass growing, we also have a lot of sporting events going around. Right around the corner, we're going to have our baseball, our soccer, our softball, you name it. So any activities that anybody's interested in, there again, get on our city website, have a lot of different dates and events planned there. We also have we're gearing up for different other events. We got the month of April, we got the Touch a Truck event and some other items coming along. Month of May is our City Fest events. And anytime, we start talking about springtime, that means we get ready to turn the clocks forward. And I believe that's happening this weekend. So hope everybody makes it to church on time. But besides that, that's the end of my report for tonight.
Any questions for our mayor, from the councilors? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll sit down in a hurry then.
In a hurry. We'll go to the reports from the Council on Special Committees. Councilor Striplin, do you have a report?
Yes, sir. Two reports, basically. The Urban Management Committee did not meet as a committee as a whole, but Mr. Johnson made a presentation to the Finance Committee, and the basic of the logic there was it would be utilizing funds for one-time spraying, and we would purchase equipment that would allow the city to spray for hopefully several years. Some of the spraying will not necessarily be chemicals that will kill the grass or weeds, but it would be more of a retardant to help slow down the growth. So we're not talking about massive brown spots throughout the city, but just hopefully a method to more easily control and better utilize our labor for mowing purposes. Mr. Fank, who's not here, and I met with Mr. Johnson and went over this process, and Ms. Brown and I met with Mr. Johnson, and he again graciously went through the process again. So we have a pretty good comfort level of the process that's before us. Also, at the previous wastewater sewer committee meeting, we met, and the information was presented to us concerning the Glenbrook subdivision. At the present time, the City of Prattville has a moratorium on annexation due to the redistricting process, and that moratorium is not scheduled to be lifted until after the elections are finalized. Stone Martin has a subdivision, Glenbrook subdivision phase number 1 is already within the city limits, and this is phase 2 of that subdivision. We think that it's in concurrence with the planning department that it is in the best interest that this legislation be adopted, We allow them to come in. It's my understanding they have at least a verbal request at this point to come in as soon as we are allowed them to come in. So I feel it very positive that someone is willing to purchase land in our community and willing to extend themselves and commit to building houses, which hopefully will be for the betterment and the growth of the city of Prattville. So I would encourage your support this evening of resolutions 2 through 6 for those reasons listed. Thank you.
Councilor Wood? Councilor Brown?
No report.
Councilor Miller?
Yeah, a few comments on the agenda item number 1, the resolution that Dr. Simmons mentioned in his remarks, and I also had some email traffic with Mr. McDowell, Mr. Whaley, and had similar sorts of questions in terms of why we had to shift to be a part-time employee in order to get the insurance, the liability insurance issue covered. And as you'll recall, we held it because that particular item aspect of this had not been worked out. And my understanding is that all the options have been explored, and it looks like this is the only workable thing before us. I, too, actually have a part-time job as a 1099 contracted independent contractor, but it's a little different because the employer does cover the liability aspect of that. So I guess there's several different, models and different ways. So I do want to assure you that we've asked those questions and tried to explore those different options and raised a lot of the same concerns that you did. The other thing I wanted to comment on is, even though this is moving to a part-time employee status, we're still going to have an MOU in terms of deliverables, because our expectation is this physician will also do some training and some other things that kind of raise it a notch in terms of the deliverables that we've been getting from the medical director. So we're still going to need that piece of it in terms of outlining, so that both parties understand what the expectations are. So I just want to make sure that all that's still, I know we were going to do it when he was a contractor, but I want to make sure we still would have that outlined in writing so there's no misunderstanding. So, and that really was it. So I'll be introducing a substitute to shift to part-time employee status when we get to that item.
Councilor Bowles?
No, sir.
The Finance Committee did meet in between the last meeting and tonight, and we concur that resolutions 1 through 6 should be approved tonight. So we are in support of 1 through 6, the Finance Committee. We will go into resolution number 1 to authorize the mayor to enter into a medical director services agreement with Dr. Julian Mahaganasan at a cost not to exceed $3,000. Councilor Miller, I believe you have a substitute.
Yes, sir. If I can introduce a substitute resolution.
Yes, sir.
Whereas Section 2218-1 of the Code of Alabama 1975 requires the City of Prattville Ambulance Service to have a service medical director, and whereas the same section requires that all advanced life support ambulance services have an offline physician medical director, and whereas the City Council of the City of Prattville has implemented a hiring freeze, and whereas the annual cost for a service medical director will not exceed $3,800 for salaries and benefits, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that up to $3,800 is hereby authorized to be expended for the purpose of hiring a service medical director, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from fiscal year 2012 budget line items, fire department salaries and wages, workman's compensation, and FICA. Be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the Human Resources Department is authorized to implement the hiring process as budgeted. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Miller has introduced and moved this substitute resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Striplin. Is there any discussion on this substitute resolution? Councilor Bowles.
I have a question. I'm not quite sure who's going to be directed to, probably Ms. Thrash. I know Millbrook has theirs on a subcontractor list. Montgomery also subs it. It's neither one of our sister cities has their medical directors on as a part-time employee. Are we sure this is the best thing for us, or is it the best thing for the doctor? Yes.
The past 3 years, Dr. Boggs has done the same thing, part-time employee, City of Prattville. If there's a fault here that this comes before you on the prior one before amending, we went through several budget processes, and a document that we had looked at back when talking with Dr. Maha is it did not show that in the salaries budget. It's always been in there, and that's the way we paid Dr. Boggs. And it's in there. It never was taken out, and we're just asked to continue on the part-time like we've been doing in the past. And Dr. Miller, you're correct in that this Dr. Maha, just like Dr. Boggs, audits the patient care reports, sees anything in it and has concerns, gets with Michael Whaley and I, and we talk about that and talk with the medic to make sure we're following protocol and they're acting within the scope of their license. And we've done this in the past for the past 3 years. Dr. Boggs, nothing's different than the same way we're trying to do it now with Dr. Maha. That's where we stand, and it's what we've been doing. It's my fault in looking at documents in the budget that I thought it got pulled out, and was trying to do the right thing to bring it before this body.
Right.
But it is in the salaries budget, never was pulled out of the salaries budget, and just authorizing now to allow us to hire the part-time person because we're under a hiring freeze.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this proposed substitute resolution from the city councilors?
One question,
Wood.
Mr. Chair. Chief, maybe Lisa, whoever can answer, he's just on a salary and no benefits, right, on this position, right?
It's no benefit. Lisa, you want to?
Mr. Wood, the only benefits available are FICA, the matching taxes, and workers' comp, other than the $3,000 salary.
Is it 3,000 or 3,800?
3,000 is the salary, including the benefits. It takes it up to 3,800.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further questions pertaining to this proposed resolution? Substitute. All those in favor of approving this substitute resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the substitute resolution is approved. Next item is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in an amount not to exceed $10,780 for one Bobcat 3400 utility vehicle for the City of Prattville Urban Management Department. Councilor Striplin, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas there is a need for one Bobcat 3400 utility vehicle in the Urban Management Department for the purpose of spraying insecticides and herbicides in a safe and efficient manner, and whereas the cost of the unit is $10,780, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $10,780 for one Bobcat 3400 utility vehicle are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Capital Tractor, Inc., and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the fiscal year 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department and transferred to Urban Management Department capital outlay. So moved, Mr. President.
Councilor Striplin has moved this resolution for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Woods. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Bowles.
I'd like to make an amendment, please.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the resolution, I'd like to read the sum of $10,780 is to be moved from the FY 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department to the FY 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department capital outlay.
Second. Sorry.
I believe that Councilor Striplin took care of that when he read it into the resolution.
You read it in there? Okay, I was so busy working on it, I didn't.
Sir, at
Just read the last part. I changed this to Urban Management Department capital outlay.
Okay, but you got to get the money from, yeah, so.
You better do it this way.
That's fine.
Okay. The proposed amendments before us, would you mind reading that again for me, Councilor Bowles?
The sum of $10,780 is to be moved from FY 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department to FY 2000 budget line item Urban Management Department capital outlay.
And what line are you changing?
That would be on line 29, or I'm sorry, move to the next one. On 24.
24.
24.
Okay. Now, I've heard Councilor Bowles' proposed amendment. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the proposed amendment? All those in favor of approving the amendment signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is properly amended and before us. Is there any further discussion on the amended resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amended resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the amended resolution is passed. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in an amount not to exceed $11,609.10 for one Hustler Super Z60 lawnmower for the City of Prattville Urban Management Department. Councilor Brown, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas there is a need for one Hustler Super Z60 lawnmower in the Urban Management Department for the purpose of mowing open areas such as parks, cemeteries, and common areas owned by the city, and to be used in the fleet to relieve strain on existing outdated mowers. And whereas the cost of the unit is $11,609.10, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in the amount not to exceed $11,609.10 for one Hustler Super Z60 lawnmower are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Z1 LLC, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the FY 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department capital outlay. So moved.
So moved. Resolution has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Strickland. Any other discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Bowles?
Now, make sure I heard this right. This one was already in the capital outlay, so we don't have to fix this, right? Correct? Yes, sir. Thank you.
So we don't have to fix it. Okay. Any further discussion on this proposed resolution? All those in favor of approving this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is approved. Next item is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in an amount up to $14,950 for one ton flatbed truck for the City of Prattville Urban Management Department. Councilor Miller, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Where there is a need for one one-ton flatbed truck in the Urban Management Department for the purpose of hauling a trailer for a utility vehicle, spraying insecticides/herbicides more efficiently, and providing transportation for urban management employees. And whereas the one-ton flatbed truck must meet the following specifications: V8 gas engine, automatic transmission, crew cab, CM flatbed. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount up to $14,950 for one-ton flatbed truck are hereby authorized and approved, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the fiscal year 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department capital outlay. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Miller has moved this resolution for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Striplin. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution?
I'd like to make an amendment, please.
Councilor Bowes.
After line 29, the sum of $14,950 is to be moved from the FYI 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department to Urban Forestry to FY 2012 budget line item Urban Management Department capital outlay. I move.
Councilor Bowes has moved this amendment to this resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the proposed amendment?
Could I get a verification of that amount?
Yes, sir.
$14,950.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion about the proposed amendment? All those in favor of the proposed amendment to this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? I see none. Resolution is approved, and the resolution is amended and properly before us. Any further discussion on the proposed amended resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution as amended signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? This resolution is approved and passed. Next item is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in an amount not to exceed $9,934.65 for spray rigs and personal protective equipment for the City of Prattville Urban Management Department. Councilor Striplin, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas there is a need for spray rigs and personal protective equipment in the Urban Management Department for the purpose of spraying insecticides and herbicides in a safe and efficient manner. And whereas the cost of the spray rigs and the personal protective equipment is $9,934.65. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $9,934.65 for spray rigs and personal protective equipment are hereby authorized and approved, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the fiscal year 2012 budget line item Urban Management, Department of Urban Forestry. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Striplin has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this resolution is approved. Last item on the agenda is a resolution to extend sewer service to Glenbrook Subdivision Phase 2. Councilor Wood, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Whereas Prattville City Code Section 66-82 requires council approval for extensions sewer service beyond the city limits, and whereas Stone Martin Builders LLC has requested sewer service for their development known as Glenbrook Subdivision Phase 2, located off Old Ridge Road, and whereas it has been determined that it is in the best interest of the City of Prattville to extend said sewer service, be it therefore resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama, hereby authorize the extension of sewer service with all costs borne by Stone Mountain LLC to the subdivision known as Glenbrook Subdivision Phase 2 and shown in Attachment A. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Wood has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Striplin. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joel, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And I heard the report that Mr. Striplin gave us also. Phase 1 is already in the city, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
We'll make sure. Is this the final phase, Phase 2? Do they have other phases after this?
This is the only phase that's been presented to the Planning Commission.
Okay.
And this is roughly about 150 lots in this phase. There has been discussion that there would be other future phases in that area, but nothing has been presented to the Planning Commission at this point.
And their commitment is to bring those phases as they produce them into the City of Prattville?
Yes, sir.
when we have an opportunity to bring them in.
Yes, sir. If you did not have a moratorium in place, they would have already requested annexation and sought to have the property rezoned, and they would have automatically had access to the sewer as long as they met the Planning Commission's requirements.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion on this proposed resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this resolution is adopted. This has exhausted the agenda for this evening. This time we will open the floor up to those present that would like to address the council on any item of business. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council on any item of business? Seeing none, Mayor, do you have a closing report?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the hard work that you guys have done tonight, and also thank the employees, city employees, for what they have done over the last, for however long they've been here. Thank them, because without them, we would not have been able to provide the services that we're dedicated to provide to all the citizens. With that said, I also want to remind everybody, giving everybody a little bit of a heads up, because I've been trying to participate more in the Way Off Broadway Theater, whereas you will not see me out there singing or dancing or acting. We do have a skit coming up. It's a little ways off, so I'm giving you plenty of time to save your money if you need to. The tickets are $8, $10 at the door. April the 14th through the 29th. It's All the King's Women. If you want to know more about it, check with Kelly Cook. Besides that, the other events that I mentioned you about, I hope you'll show up there, and thank you.
Councilor Striplin?
Yes, sir. Very briefly, thank you for your support this evening. I'm sure we will see fruits of your efforts soon. Thank you.
Councilor Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, the mayor has mentioned that on 24th, the annual North Highland Park Day will be taking place. As a matter of fact, a lot of other activities will be taking place that day. But let me just reiterate, I appreciate the support of many of you all this year. Proceeds are going to a fantastic organization called Oasis of Hope. And I just got a letter from Oasis of Hope a couple of days ago that in the month of April, they will be giving away 30,000 pounds of food to people in Prattville. So that's the type of organization that we're helping this year. So if you haven't given to the North Highland Park Community Fund Day, we still solicit your opportunity to give, and what's left will be given to Oasis of Hope. Thank you.
Councilor Brown?
I just want to join the mayor in encouraging everybody to support the Arts Festival also the same weekend, but the dinner on the 22nd that will honor Dr. Tania Stewart. And I think it'll be a great weekend in Prattville, so everybody try to get tickets and come out.
Councilor Miller?
No.
Councilor Bowes?
No, sir.
Our next meeting will be Tuesday, March the 20th, 2012, 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers. We invite you to come back and join us at that time. This time the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion? Is there a second? Second. We are adjourned.
Kelly.